Alright guys, had a lot of people that wanted to see the Armagard V2 playing, moving something. So, that's what we're doing today. I'm getting the 15 and the 18 good break-in cycle on them, so I can take parameters off of them and then get into some more testing. But I always do a break-in first, so then I can have that information to go back on anything else. So we've got the 15 here moving now. See, we're not quite at full throw, but I'm trying to not kill my bench or anything else. Everything shakes a lot. You can see the glass moving. So, yeah. We have window flex when the sub's just sitting here free air. It's pretty brutal. So this one, in comparison to the V1, it will still move 50 millimeters. So we're talking 4 inches peak to peak. I said we're not quite there on this one, but it'll give us a good break-in. We've still got dual inputs for each polarity. So this is one coil. It's got 2 negatives, and the other coil is 2 positives. They are connected one and the same in the coil, so you don't have to connect both of them. But we do suggest it because of all the current and everything you're putting through the leads. And there are 16 leads total. So back here on the motor, you can actually see the coil moving. So one advantage that we've got going on here, being open architecture, is air can freely pass through the motor. So from here, I can actually feel some air coming off the motor. Part of that's going to be from in between the coil and the pole. There's quite a bit of air that gets pushed through there from the dust cap. And there's also obviously air from the cone itself. Troy. Currently they are pre-order. They are not in production yet, but you can pre-order them from our website, emfcaraudio.com. And the 15 and 18 you can pre-order. It will not be made in any other sizes. It cannot be made in a 12. We've had a lot of people ask for it in a 12, but it's just not going to happen. Because you can tell the motor is basically just shy of the cutout of the 15-inch basket. Cannot be made in a 12. Even if you made it so you could only invert it, it would be a pain in the ass to mount. It's just totally not worth it. And 12s aren't really a big seller in giant subs like this either. It's always 15s and 18s. Chris, these are only in a musical version. These would be absolutely terrible for SPL. Everything that you don't want in a very peaky SPL driver, this isn't. This is made to sound good. It's just a daily musical sub. That's what they're meant for. So I will step out here so you can see the 18 if you didn't see it before. So we got that guy still playing inside. There it is from the back side. I don't know if you can actually hear the window moving and the wall moving. But here we have the 18. Still haven't moved it from the pallet jack. The splitter on the 18 is going to end up being black like the other one. This is just the prototype. The difference between the spider on the 15 and the 18, 15 is a 10-inch spider and the 18 is a 12-inch spider, so we had to tool this spider for testing it as well. Obviously the 18 looks a little more brutal, I guess you could say. It does look quite a bit bigger. 15 looks a little stumpy as a result of the size. But here we have the 18. And I'll get to putting this one on the test bench probably later today. Alright, one thing I can do here is mounting depth. Felipe, will 2 of these in 18s work in a 4th order? Yes, they will work in a 4th order, and you can do ported. Tuning around 28, 29 would be fine. A single 12K would be fine for the pair. They're rated 6500 RMS. You don't really need any more than that. So yeah, that would be fine. I said you can do it in a 4th. The version 1 people did in a 4th. This one should work even better in a 4th. So either way you want to do it, it's just a matter of do you have the space to do a proper 4th order. It's because it's obviously going to take up a lot more space than ported. So mounting depth on the 18 here. I'm just going to go off the foam for a rough estimate. Obviously you can tell it's kind of strong. It's holding that out. And I'm getting phone calls while I'm doing this, so that's awesome too. So from the foam here to the basket, looking about 13.5 inches of mounting depth. So it's not too terribly bad. So 13.5, you do still have the pole vent that's behind it. You can see the pole vent on the 15 here playing. So you do have to have it off the back of the box. About a good 1.5 to 2 inches. So if you got 15 inches of depth to work with, you're definitely in the clear on the 18 here. Jesse, cubic feet require an E-sub. We don't have that spec nailed down just yet because these are still in prototyping. So we don't have that nailed down. It should be similar to the V1 on the 15. That was 4.25 cubic feet ported, and on the 18 it was closer to about 6.5. Worked out pretty well on that, so it should be around that, but we don't have an official number on that yet. Brandon, infinite baffle SQ setup, I would love to see it. You should totally do it. I think it would be awesome for low end, particularly with the amount of throw there is. There'd just be a whole lot of power, which is generally not found in sound quality setups. Felipe, the volume for a 4th. Again, that's really hard to say right now because it is still in prototyping. So I don't want to tell you a number right off the bat and say that's going to be it. For 25 feet of space, I mean, 25, I don't see why you couldn't get 2 subs in that. But any more than that, you definitely couldn't fit. That'd be one of those things you just kind of have to check back with us as we get more testing done, get closer to production for a final number. Yeah, 6.5 cubic feet, ported on 18. That should work fine. From what I can tell so far, I don't see any reason why that won't work. Joshua, the method of testing for RMS rating. What some do is they go, okay, it's this size coil, it's this many layers, it should take this much power. Problem is the motor doesn't always allow for that. Motor cooling makes a very big difference in what a coil can handle. So what we actually do is we put power on it and test it. So we'll actually take it up to a power level and just leave it on a tone and see how hot it gets or see at what point it fails. and that's how we come up with the power rating. It's actually tested at that. Why delete comments? I'm not sure what you're referring to. I don't know. You can't delete comments in a live video. After the video is posted, you can delete them. But during live, you can't. You can like a comment. That's it. I generally don't delete comments anyway. If there's a good enough reason to delete it, I end up banning the person also. It goes hand in hand. Felipe, these compared to a DC level 6. Well, that's not even a comparison I would want to try to make, because there isn't a comparison, really. That's not a fair comparison. I could say a lot of things about a level 6, but none of them are going to be good. There have already been direct swaps from V1s, and the V1s murdered the level 6s. One guy did a direct swap on V1s, and he gained 2.5 dB, and that's all he changed, and he only had 3,000 watts. Version 2 is 5 dB more efficient, should be a noticeable amount louder. So, yeah, it's not even a comparison. Level 6 doesn't have near the throw, has like half the throw, doesn't have the motor force, doesn't have the thermal handling, doesn't have, it's got super high inductance, it doesn't sound good, so in comparison. Ernestus, about Sundown and EMF group. Well, I have nothing to do with any Sundown groups, so I don't know what to tell you there. EMF groups, I'm not sure what EMF group you're referring to. I only know of one, and I don't know if comments getting deleted there, unless I just don't see them ever to begin with. If you can give me an example of one that was deleted, I'd love to know it, because I don't know of any. Paul, dealer opportunities. We do not have dealers. We are direct only right now. We will be that way for a while. We've had a lot of inquiries about it, but that's not the direction we want to go with that right now. So it's direct only. Philip, what frequency am I putting through it right now? That is 20 hertz. There's a little bit of a surge to it, as you can tell. I like doing that because it's a lot easier on the power supply for the test bench. I could sit here and just run it continuously. I know it's going to have a little bit of recharge time in there. So it's just easier on the test equipment. Make sure I don't blow up the power supply, because I've done that before. Enzo, dB and hertz. I'm not sure what it is that you're referring to. Unless you mean the resonant frequency and the sensitivity. Those are both things that I will know after I take this off the test bench. You have to run it through this testing, get it broken in to get those figures, so that's what I'm doing. Clay, the price on these. The 15 is pre-order $1,100, the 18 is pre-order $1,250. Those will both be going up at least $150 on the regular price. So pre-order is obviously the best time to do that, and that is also with free shipping in the continental U.S. Daniel, not sure what you're referring to in terms of team question mark. Clint, the Gauss and the gap. I do know what it is. That doesn't mean a whole lot. The Gauss on this one, I checked, it was about 6,900. Now, the reason that doesn't really mean a whole lot is the coil in the gap, where you get BL squared divided by RE, that's what actually really matters. I actually took a 6.5 inch factory General Motors 6.5, tested the gap, and the Gauss on it was over 3,000. So it has nothing to do with the size of the motor or anything like that. The only thing you need to worry about with motor force is the actual coil in the gap. After this video, I'll actually go back and post a link on your comment that shows a whole big thing that Gauss isn't what people think it is. And it proves all of that. Paul, coil winding, gauge, any proprietary specs that are relevant to making the design better than other Reno models? Well, obviously, I can't tell you a whole lot because then that's like telling the competition how to make their stuff better. I can tell you that the motor is patent pending. It's patent pending for a reason. There's a lot of things that go into design, just a little things here and there that make it take power better, make it perform better, and that's obviously not things that I tell the public because that's everybody will end up copying what we do. They can't copy the motor because it's patented, but they'll end up basically our R&D will end up in their hands, which is not what we want to have happen. That's why our stuff is better. We actually test stuff, we do R&D, and we develop with original ideas. Joshua, it is not as much power as you think for the simple fact of it is completely freer. Mechanically freer, they will take less power, but I do have a 30 amp power supply on a battery bank. So obviously, I'm getting 3,000 watts to it is possible. This one is wired at a half. So like I said, getting 3,000 watts into it can get it moving as much free air. Put it in Enclosure, different story. I'm also finding I need to apparently learn other languages, except for the one that says looking good and has their, I'm assuming that's another language. So excellent on the translation. Clint, yes, drop-ins will be available. They will also be built to order. Much like the subs. We don't build anything until it's ordered. We have all the parts on hand to do that. It's the common motor between whatever impedance and whatever size. So the soft parts for drop-in, yeah, if you needed one, we just get the order for it and make it then. The weight. I haven't weighed the 15. The original design was 118 pounds, but I made a couple of changes on this revision, which took about 6 pounds off of it. I know the 18-inch I did weigh, and that was 116 pounds. So, yeah, this one should be around 112 on the 15. Josh, yes, I was referring to drop-in recombs. Danny, 1100 pre-order is on our website right now. EMFcaraudio.com is where you can buy those. Clint, you are correct. No direct leads. I am not a big fan of direct leads. There is no benefit to them until you get into absolutely ridiculous levels that you're not going to have on this daily. And in addition to that, the only difference you'd see is a few tenths, which is inaudible. So you might see it on a meter. You're not going to see it in a daily application. And the other thing is, because we have the dual inputs and 16 leads, you're just not going to see a benefit from direct leads. That's one of those things that's been tested, and it's not really worth anything. Halifax. That's in Nova Scotia, I believe. We could. It's not going to be cheap. I've sent stuff to Nova Scotia before. It's obviously international, so that kind of adds on to the cost quite a bit there. Jonathan, no, I am not only running one coil. I have speaker wires on both sides, but I think you're referring to the fact that there's only one connection there. Both of these connections are on the same coil. It's a dual coil, so there's dual negative inputs, dual positive inputs. So this is the positive and negative for one coil. It just has dual inputs. You don't have to use both. In a normal install, I would definitely use both, but just for setting it up for, QC purposes and break-in and that kind of thing, no, you don't really need them connected. Dean, it is a 4-inch coil, which you can see moving there. It is 6,500 RMS is the rating, same as the version 1. And no, it is not YouTube. It is Alpine. Never ever use YouTube for sweeps or music or anything. It's a terrible, terrible idea. Scar did that. It was hilarious. We LOL'd, and that's why 400 plus 400 equals 1,000. Look that one up on Google. It should be pretty funny. There's some videos. John, yes, it is only for music. We would not recommend using this in an application for SPL. Maybe if you were peaking like 30 hertz, 35 hertz, they probably do pretty well. Outside of that, no, I would not use it for SPL. Bow. This one should be around 112 pounds, 114 pounds. I have not weighed this one since the motor change. But the 18 there was 114 pounds, I think it was. If you didn't see it before, the glass is moving. I don't know if the frame rate will support that. But yeah, there it goes. So we're just hanging out free air, making the glass move. Alright, if nobody else has any other questions, I'm going to wrap this up. I got stuff to do. I'm going to make sure this thing's good to go so I can take some specs off of it. May post that up later. But I'm going to wrap this up. And you can watch it again on our Facebook page. So emfcaraudio.com is our website. You can pre-order these. We have lots of other stuff. The Bandhammer series, our Swag 6.5 coaxes, the full Sundown line, RCAs, wire, everything from excess power, batteries. Alright, so I'm wrapping this up. Any other questions, I might go in the comments and post those up. Go check them out on the website, emfcaraudio.com. Order them up. Pre-order now so you're at the top of the list when they do come in for production.